Hey there, so welcome to part 3 of my Procreate Dreams exploration of using Procreate Dreams for ideation, for being a notebook, for project planning, things like that. And one thing that's really interesting is there's a few complaints out there about Procreate Dreams in terms of some of the key features that you'd really want are missing. But what's interesting is I think we can use that to our advantage as early users of this amazing piece of software, because it will get better over time, and you will have things like the ability to select portions of a drawing and cut it and put it onto a new layer, which you can't do now. But in the meantime, it does a couple things that are really nice. There's not a very big learning curve to the basic features because there's not much more things than you can do than what you can learn in a 10-minute lesson, right? You can learn little things like if you click on the time code on the left middle here, that's where you find your onion skins. That's something that a lot of people wouldn't know. What happens when you click on the clapper, if it's on something, and how you can access those menus. What happens if you open up your groups and have groups with subgroups and things like that. All kinds of interesting little tricks, little things like being able to what the little intricacies of each one of these modes are, and things like pulling down on the, I have to be on a layer. So let's say I'm on a layer. Then if I pull down on the timeline, I get into my flipbook mode, right? When layers work, when they don't. Let's see here, and all kinds of things like that. But long story short, I was just kind of sketching out these ideas. Let's make a game. Let's cross out the word game. Actually, let's make a business, right? And then I get into this next area, and you can see I wrote something here, and then I created some keyframes, put it off to the side, and then it flew back in. So start with a gamepad and an arcade cabinet. And rather than a gamepad and an arcade cabinet, we're going to call it a calculator and a desk. In fact, we're going to cross that out and change it to a phone and a desk. So we're going to make a game. Actually, we're going to make a business. And we're going to start with a phone and a desk. Okay, so now I'm able to kind of talk through this little story that I was sketching out and talking through. I've got a little gamepad here, a little phone that becomes a dual screen gamepad. And I was able to add a couple of interesting interfaces in it. I also added in a little arcade cabinet with the idea that if you put a little bit of money in, right, a little bit of money in, you get to start playing this game of business and money starts coming out in this 2-player or multiplayer game, right? And ultimately what we're doing here is we're learning hand-drawn animation with this very simple starting program. And the most basic version of Procreate Dreams before they add lots more features and the learning curve gets even higher. One thing that's kind of interesting is let me go ahead and collapse that down. My timeline as far as notes in a notebook, it's like, very, very much this like staircase instead of flipping between pages. I've got this little kind of staircase of layers, or tracks as they call them, that as I start working my way up, I can see very easily which one is page what. So here's page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5 is long, page 6, and page 7. And that's just a nice, interesting way to think about Procreate Dreams as a notebook with pages, animated pages. And that's what's so cool about this to me, is that I've got a drawing notebook with animated pages. I'm waiting on a few key features like the selection tool, but it's pretty cool. And something I really like is I can start building templates like this with multiple bullet points. And then I can go ahead and open up the groupings here. And let's find our way to the text. I'll open up this group, shrink that down with 3 fingers, come over here, and I can actually go in now move the playhead to where all the text is, and start editing the text, just like that. So we'll call that, whoops. Let's open up the keyboard, show keyboard. We can call that row 2. And just like that, we can start editing from this nice little template. So I can save this little group of tracks, right? I can collapse it all down, nice and easy. And I can save that group of tracks and use it again on new pages and so on. And eventually I'll end up with these really cool animations that are very easy to either swap out the text or hand write the text that fills that in, draw little icons, things like that. So playing around. Now something worth mentioning is I had to pre-think some things here, right? Because I couldn't draw the whole desk, right? I couldn't draw this and then cut it up later because Procreate doesn't have that yet. So I actually really had to think this through. And in doing so, it's actually teaching me animation in a much better way, I think. So it's helping me to build good habits and understand animation or understand how to think of animation a little bit fresher as I'm learning right now. It's kind of a cool feature where if I go ahead and shrink that down, you can just see that I've got things coming on and off the canvas. And that's just such a simple little animation I can do, is just bring something from off the canvas back onto the canvas. And I can choose to scale it, and it makes a cool effect, right? And then I get a little fancier by being able to do things like take this arcade cabinet, zoom in, and now I've got the actual interface. And then play around with, let's say, a bouncing ball here. You move over so that I can keep on looking, right? And then play around with the idea of bouncing ball coming off the stage. And what's cool is since this is a notebook and not just a canvas that I'm planning to export from, I can actually utilize what's going on off the stage in interesting ways. So I can start to play with that a little bit more as well. So it's very cool to see how things come from off the stage back on and create these really interesting transitions and ways to slide things in and so on. And I'll just go 4-finger tap, and we can go all the way back to the beginning and just kind of scrub through, right? So let's make a game. It's going to be a business. Start with a gamepad and arcade cabinet. Actually, we'll call it a calculator. Nah, we'll call it a phone and a desk. And here's our gamepad style phone with a little prospecting type of tool, a little CRM up top with contacts, a little timeline on the bottom. We bring in our arcade cabinet as a bigger device for multiple people to play together. We see that we have the ability to put coins in, right? So we're putting coins in and out, or sorry, putting small amounts of money in the shape of coins. So we put small coins in to start playing the game, and then larger amounts of money spit out for both players, right? And again, learning hand animation so that we can do fun, interesting things like create a smart desk instead of that arcade cabinet, and even add side monitors to that smart desk in a cool way. We can add bullet points and start to create templates, have some interesting things fly in, so little transitions. So now we're on to our next subject, and our next subject has to do with going into a full screen 3D interface and showcasing that that 3D interface is 3D with the ability to bounce a ball around in a really cool way off the walls. And that just took a few moments to really do. And the faster I go, the quicker I can start bouncing things around, creating 3D interfaces, and building different layouts, different interfaces for being this really cool animated notebook. So thanks for watching. It's been so much fun putting this together. And I can't wait to get faster and faster and start building little templates for things I can use over and over and over again. And this should get better and better as we go. Hopefully you'll be watching a year from now and the quality will have gone up significantly, and we can look back at these initial videos and see how, just as Procreate was brand new with very limited features, and just as my animation skills are brand new with relatively limited capability, this experiment of creating a timeline-based animation notebook is pretty cool. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I just think that some amazing things can come from it in terms of taking imagination. And just like I draw in a notebook and get ideas out, and plan my day and plan my projects, I could do all the above right here in this timeline-based animators notebook. So thanks for watching, and wishing you an amazing rest of your day.